Okay, everyone, let's draw our sea creatures. You should have at least 4 pieces of these small white square papers. And then you are going to also have a Sharpie marker. You can start with just one paper at a time because we're going to start one sea creature at a time. And you can start by writing your name on the corner of the paper just to make sure you don't lose these at the end of class. And we're gonna try and fill as much of the square as possible with our first sea creature. So we're gonna start with a starfish. So for our starfish, we need to have at least 5 of these triangle legs. So we're going to start towards the left-hand corner of our paper, and we're gonna make a straight line that curves up and curves back, almost like a leaf. So it looks kind of like a triangle, but we're not gonna finish the bottom, and it's kind of curvy. Then we're going to repeat the shape 5 times around. So I'm going to end here and start with my next line, curve around to a point, and then come back. It almost starts to look like a flower. And then I'm going to do this 3 more times, around and back to the center, around to a curve and back to the center, and 1 more time. Around to a curve and back to the center. Now, it's okay if your starfish's legs are different shapes and lengths. That's okay. It almost makes it look like he's swimming through the sea when these are different positions. So now we're just going to finish this with a little face. Cute little face. You can do 2 little eyes and a little mouth. And we're going to leave it just like that because we're going to add some texture later, some details. So let's put this one aside and grab our next one. Next is a fish. So let's start by writing our name on the corner. And for our fish, we're going to start almost like with a big oval body, and we're going to do 2 little fins at the back. So let's start towards the top of our paper in the middle, and we're going to make a curve line. So this is the start of the body of the fish. Now on the end of this curve is going to be the little mouth of the fish. So we're going to go in and back out, and then curve around a little bit. Then we're going to finish the body by coming around and repeating this curve line on the bottom. So curve again. Then on the back is where we're going to put the little 2 fins. So the fins are kind of like the legs of the starfish. So we're going to go curve out. And I'm kind of running out of room here. That's okay. So I'll just go off my paper and then curve back in. And then on the other side down here, I'm going to curve out. And I want this line to come all the way back to that first line, back in. Then let's add a couple little details. Let's put a little eye right here, a circle with the dots. We can put a few lines on the fish. Actually, let's put more fins. I'm going to put 1 little fin down here and 1 big fin up here. I kind of like how that gives it more detail. Let's leave it plain for now. We'll add our detail and texture later. So let's put our fish aside. Let's start with a new piece, and we're going to draw an octopus. This is a little bit more complex. So start with your name. The octopus, we're going to start with a big kind of curve like this for the head. Then we're going to start with the tentacle legs. So an octopus, if you know, has 8 legs. So we're going to start at this little line of the head here and just do some curvy lines down. And then when you end your curvy line, you're going to curve a little bit and then repeat that curvy line to finish the leg. And you're going to do this 8 times. So I have 1 leg. Here's 2, 3. And it's okay if the legs are different lengths, if they're different thicknesses, that's okay. Just make sure you have 8. So far I have 4. I need 4 more. 5, 6. I kind of like when they get a little bit weird like that and curve in different directions. I'm going to do a really weird one like this. 7, a super curvy one, 8. All right, so now we're just going to finish the octopus with a little face. You can do whatever type of face you like. And then octopuses have these little tiny suction cups on the end of their tentacles, just little tiny circles, so they can stick to the sea floor. So just put a few little circles on the end of each tentacle. You don't have to do more than 3 or 4 or 5 per leg. Okay, that looks great. We'll add more detail with our texture later. And our last one is going to be a little tiny crab. So let's put our name on the bottom again. Okay, now for the crab, we're gonna start with a big curve for the body. So in the middle of your paper, we're just gonna make a big curve and then a curvy line on top like this. Now crabs have 2 legs that have these kind of like little claws on them. So let's put 2 legs on top, 2 straight lines each. And then on the ends, we're gonna do a curved line and then 2 straight lines, down, up, down, up. You can even put some little tiny spikes on these. Okay, now crabs also have these weird looking eyes that poke out from the top of their head. So start again like the legs here, but on the top you're gonna put 2 circles, and inside of the circles put 2 little dots. Okay, finally they have some legs on the back here too. So 4 legs and then 4 legs. So we're gonna do some curvy oval type shapes. Now for the next one, I want you to do some overlapping. So the next leg is gonna start at this leg and just go back. And then the next one just goes back. And the next one just goes back. And we'll repeat the same thing over here. So I'm gonna do 1 leg. Looks like I'm kind of running out of space, so I can go off my paper a little bit, that's okay. And then overlap, back, back, back. Okay, we finished our 4 sea creatures. This looks awesome. Now, we're gonna add some texture to these. So at your table, you should have some crayons. And if you notice, these crayons do not have any paper on them because we're gonna use the side of the crayon, not the tip or the bottom, the side, kind of like this. You also have something at your table called a texture plate. You have many texture plates. You're gonna find some textures that you like. And remember, a texture is the way something feels. So a lot of these texture plates have different types of lumps and bumps on them. And we're gonna put 1 texture plate at a time underneath our animals. And when you place this on top, you're gonna use the side of your crayon just to rub in different areas. So on my fish, I'm just gonna rub inside of the body. If I go outside the body, that's okay, because we'll cut these out. So I'm just gonna rub, rub, rub. And as I rub, you can see there is a texture that's starting to come to life on the fish. You can see that bumpy, scaly texture. Now I can mix colors if I like. I can start with green and then go to blue. And then I can do some yellow. I kind of like different colors on my animals. And if you notice here, my fish went off my texture plate. I have to scoot it back over to see that texture again. So make sure your entire animal has some texture on it. Now, once it does, you are going to cut these out eventually, so you don't need to worry about any of the texture that goes off the animal. But you are gonna make sure that you use different types of textures for all of your sea creatures and different colors. So I can flip this texture plate over and I can see a new texture on the back, and I can use that new texture for my next sea creatures. And I can even mix textures. Remember, I can take this texture plate off and put a new one. I kind of like how that sea creature just has that one pink texture. My octopus, I can choose a totally new texture. This one is different from the other ones. Let's see what this one looks like. Ooh, this is a very different type of texture. Kind of some little triangles and lines there. So you're gonna keep adding texture until you have all your sea creatures filled. There's no white spaces, and they all have different colors and textures. And then we will cut these out to glue to our backgrounds.